You, Mio, and Noor were sitting in the garden, enjoying the calm morning when Leo and Jin walked up to you both. Noor, how are you? I heard about the fight with the Crystal Kingdom. Why did you tell me to bring herbs? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Everything fine. Actually, it's Ryan who hurt. So I called you both. Ryan, this is Jin and Leo. Leo is Namjoon and Hobby's sister. You saw them last night, right? Namjoon is the commander and also Yoongi's childhood friend, along with Hobby. Jin here is their cousin. They all live together and are like family to us since their father was the king's best friend and minister. He died in the war and we all grew up together. You smile and bow slightly out of respect. Nice to meet you all. Hi, hello. Nice to meet you too. Wine is Yoongi's mate and Mio is Jimin's. As the introduction finished, Jin stepped forward with a serious look, inspecting your arm before kneeling to apply the herbs he had brought. Hold still, this should help with the pain. He gently applied the herbs to your arm, his movements precise. You titled your head in confusion and looked towards Noor. How did you know my arm was hurt? I can sense these things. Nothing escapes me, Ryan. His voice held an annoying tone, as if she could read your very thoughts. Leo chuckled and sat down near Noor, while Jinan continued tending to your arm. The atmosphere shifted as the conversation flowed casually. So, Ryan, how are you adjusting to all this? I know it must be strange joining us, dealing with Yoongi and everything that came with being a part of this family. It's been a lot to take in, but it feels right somehow. Being here with all of you, Mio sitting beside you nodded quietly before speaking up. Jimin told me about Yoongi. He seems intense. Noor raised an eyebrow. Intense is an underestimate, but Yoongi has his own way of showing care. You will understand soon. Jin smiled softly, his focus still on your arm. You will be fine. It will take time, but once you heal, everything will make more sense. You looked at each of them, feeling a strange sense of belonging and curiosity growing about this new family you were becoming part of. As Jin finished applying the herbs, he stood up and glanced around, noticing the more relaxed atmosphere. He decided to lighten the mood with a bit of humor. You know, Yoongi and Jimin used to be quite the troublemakers when they were young. I remember this one time. Oh, this should be good. Well, there was this one day when they decided to have a mud fight in the palace garden. They were covered head to toe in mud, and when they tried to sneak back inside, they left muddy footprints everywhere. The queen nearly had a fit when she saw the mess. Everyone laughed at the image, including you and Mio, who were both intrigued and amused. That sounds like quite the adventure. Oh, it gets better. After their little escaped, they tried to clean up before anyone noticed. They used the queen's favorite white towel, so instead of cleaning up, they just spread mud all over the palace. Oh no, I bet they were in big trouble. Definitely, they were grounded for a week, and their punishment was cleaning every single inch of the palace. It was quite the sight of two young princes scrubbing floors, grumbling the entire time. And it's amazing how little they have changed. They still manage to get into trouble in their own ways. Not surprising at all. Some things never change. You should have seen them try to explain their way out of trouble. They were so creative with their excuse. It was an experiment. We were testing the durability of the towels. Everyone burst into laughter. The story is creating a light-hearted and welcoming atmosphere. I can't wait to see what other stories you have about them. It sounds like they had quite the life. Oh, there are plenty more stories. Just wait till you hear about the time Yoongi tried to train a wolf club as a personal guard. That one's a classic. Even Yoongi is 10 years older than Jimin, but still he was so naughty in his teenage. And now who will say he's the same? The laughter continued and the bonds among the group seemed to strengthen as the tales of Yoongi and Jimin's childhood antics filled the garden with a warmth. As everyone continued laughing and sharing stories, the sound of approaching footsteps catch their attention. Jimin, Hobie, Namjoon, Yoongi, and Jungkook entered the garden. Namjoon was holding Jungkook by the ear, dragging him along. Jungkook looked sheepish, his head hanging low. What the hell did he do this time? He tried to run away from the training again, and he didn't just try to escape alone. He actually formed a little gang to help him get away. The group watched as Jin's face turned a deeper shade of frustration. Well, look like Cookie's in for it. Say goodbye to your freedom, bro. It was just a little break. I didn't think it would be a big deal. You know the rules, Jungkook, and now you're going to face the consequences. Alright, let's see how you explain this one. The training is not optional. We have got to keep you in check. Jin's anger seemed to dissolve a bit as he looked at Jungkook, who was now attempting to make himself as small as possible. The group laughed, the tension easing with a familiar banter. It looked like I'm not the only one who has a lot to learn about this family. Yeah, it seems like they have their own way of handling things. By the way, Yoongi Oppa, your mate is so beautiful. Her beauty is no joke. And as for Mio, she's hella cute. Yoongi's eyes met yours, causing you to look down in shyness. Mio giggled, blushing at the compliment. She's my mate. What can you expect? She's like a baby, just like you. Hi, Ong, I'm not a baby. You slowly looked up and saw Yoongi was still staring at you. Everyone noticed the exchange. Yoongi is already whipped. Everyone burst into laughter and Yoongi, sternly realizing his gaze, looked away, a faint blush appearing on your cheeks. Early in the morning, Jimin was fully dressed and ready to head out when he caught the scent of blueberries. He turned around to see Meow standing there, nervously playing with her fingers. Alpha, where are you going? I'm going for a survey. But isn't that Hobby Oppa's job? She asked cutely, and Jimin juggled. Yeah, it is, but since the kingdom is so big, so I'll help him out. He surveyed the north and I cover the south. Can I come with you? I have never seen the whole kingdom before. Jimin thought for a moment, then nodded, making Meow's face lit up with a big smile. She quickly grabbed her long blue coat, wrapped it around herself, and ran to catch up with him. Jimin was walking beside the horse, holding its reins, while Meow sat comfortably on the horse. They had been moving at a slow pace for 3 hours, and now their survey was complete. Jim glanced up at Meow, who was gazing around with wide, excited eyes. Do you want to see a beautiful spot in our kingdom? Yes, yes. Jimin chuckled before swiftly jumping onto the horse behind her. Meow's breath catch for a moment and she blushed as she felt the warmth of her alpha so close. With a smile, Jimin took the reins and rode the horse at a faster pace. Soon they arrived at a spot after crossing the beautiful forest. It was a river, but what stood out was the water. It was red. Jimin jumped down, gently took Meow's hand, helping her off the horse. Meow's eyes widened in amazement and she looked at the river. This is the special river in our kingdom, called the Bloody River. That's why our kingdom is named after it, because the water appears red. Is it really blood? No, it's not blood. The stones at the bottom of the river are red. When the water flows over them, it reflects that color. Wow! Mia and Jimin strolled by the river, enjoying the peaceful beauty of nature. The atmosphere was calm, with only the sound of the flowing water and soft rustling of the leaves around them. Jimin kept glancing at his mate, smiling as he saw how happy she looked. You have lived in this kingdom since before we met it. How come you never got to see any of this place? Why never let me go far? She always been afraid something might happen to me. She had to take care of me from a young age after our parents died. Oh, I see. On the other side, you step into your room, picking up your clothes before heading towards the bathroom. As you enter, you suddenly stop, your sense catching the familiar scent of your alpha. Your heart raced as you gulped, realizing that Yoongi was already there. You slowly turned and there he was, Yoongi. standing in front of you in a silk bathrobe, his damp hair clinging to his forehead, with water drops sliding down his neck, his dark eyes locked onto yours, a flicker of something unreadable in his gaze. For a moment, neither of you spoke. The air was thick with unspoken tension. Your pulse quickened. You couldn't tear your eyes away from him, and the soft patter of water dripping from his ear only made the silence more intense. Yoongi raised an eyebrow, his expression cool, but his jaw tense slightly. He stepped closer, the scent of him stronger now, filling the space between you. His gaze lingered on your lip for just a second, but he quickly shifted back to his usual nonchalance. What are you doing here? You should know by now not to come into a room without checking it if it's occupied. His voice was calm, but you noticed a slight tremor in it, betraying the wall he was trying to put up. You could feel the heat of his presence and despite the coldness in his words. His eyes softened for a moment as they trailed down to your clothes. You blushed, but Yoongi turned his head, pretending to be indifferent. You took a deep breath, trying to steady your heart, but it was impossible with him so close. The bond between you two was undeniable. Even though he acted like he didn't care, you could feel the pull between you both. His finger brushed against yours as he moved past you, and it sent a shiver down your spine. Hurry up and get out of here. I don't have time to deal with you right now. But as he said those words, his hand lingered for a second too long on the door frame. He didn't look at you, but his breathing had become deeper, slower, as if he was fighting something within himself. You knew deep down that despite his cold front, there was something stirring him, something he wasn't ready to admit. As you stood there, frozen by the intensity of the moment, you couldn't help but wonder how long it would take before Yoongi stopped pretending and finally gave in to the love that was hiding behind his sharp words and guarded eyes. You quickly tried to step further away from the door as Yoongi stood in front of it, his presence making you feel a bit flustered. But suddenly your foot slipped and with a gasp you fell into the bathtub, splashing water everywhere. Yoongi immediately turned to look at you, his eyes narrowing as he watched the scene unfold. You were now completely soaked, water dripping down your hair and clothes. You tried to stand, but before you could gain balance, your foot slipped again, sending you crashing back into the tub. With an exasperated sigh, Yoongi walked over, giving you a look of disbelief. His expression said it all. He was clearly done with the situation. Without saying a word, he extended his hand towards you. You hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to take it, but eventually reached out and grabbed his hand. Just as he pulled you up, your foot slipped once more, and before you could react, Yoongi lost his footing too. In the blink of an eye, he tumbled into the tub, landing right on top of you. Water splashed everywhere, soaking both of you even further. The shock of the moment left you both breathless as you stared at each other. Instant silent. Yoongi's chest was pressed against yours, and you could feel his warmth dissipate the cool water around you. His breath hitched as he realized the closeness. For a split second, his eyes softened, flickering with something deeper, but just as quickly he masked his emotions, his face tightening into that familiar coldness, though his heartbeat was pounding against yours. This is why I told you to be more careful. His voice was low, but it had lost its usual sharp edge. You could see the faintest blush on his cheeks as he tried to push himself up. But the slippery surface caused him to close back again, bringing him even closer, his lips just inches from yours. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The air between you was charged, and even though he pretended not to care, the way his body pressed against yours told a different story. His breathing was rich, and his gaze softened for the briefest second as he looked at you, before quickly turning his face away. This is ridiculous, he muttered, though the tension in his voice betrayed his attempt to stay calm. He slowly began to lift himself off you, but not without a lingering touch that sent shivers through your body. Noor was walking through the hall, still replaying the last encounter she had with Taeyong in her mind. She sighed deeply, her thoughts clouded as she made her way upstairs. But as she reached the top, she frowned, her gaze falling on Yoongi, walking by in a bathrobe, his hair still damp. As he passed her, she couldn't help but call out to him, "Oppa, where's your clothes?" Yoongi stopped, looked down at himself as his eyes filled in shock. I have lost my mind. With that, he hurriedly turned and bolted back towards his room, his face flushed in embarrassment. What's going on? Why was he blushing? Ugh, of course, he's admitted now. Even he doesn't want to admit it. She shook her head, amused at her brother's situation, but continued walking. A few moments later, she spotted Jimin and Mio approaching from the other side, talking quietly and blushing at each other. Noor sighed and her eyes rolling slightly. And here come another couple, all smile and blushes, while I'm stuck fighting with my own alpha. She let out a soft laugh at her own thoughts and continued on, shaking her head at the love-struck girls surrounding her. As Noor continued walking, she caught sight of Jiwo and Minjun, the king, deep in conversation, both smiling and looking as if they were flirting with each other. Noor couldn't help but roll her eyes, a playful smile forming on her lips. That was the last thing I needed to see. Now I'm really feeling so single. She shook her head, chuckling softly to herself as she watched the easy chemistry between them. It seemed everyone around her was catch up in their own romantic moments, leaving her feeling a bit left out. As noon approached, Noor strolled through the kingdom on her way to Jin's house. She couldn't help but chuckle at the scene unfolding before her. Jungkook was curled on the green grass trying to shield himself while Jin playfully whacked him with a pink slipper. Leo was attempting to pull Jin back and Hobby Namjoon watching the girl from a nearby bench, clearly entertained. What did he do this time? Jungkook caught sight of her and quickly scrambled to his feet, racing over. Noor, help me, please. Stay away, Noor, otherwise you will get catch in this too. Noor stepped in front of Jungkook, raising her hands. Stop it, guys. She tried to protect Jungkook, who ducked behind her, while Jin continued to chase him, laughter in his eyes. Namjoon let out a sigh, finally stood up. Alright, enough of this, Jin. Noor came here to relax, so give her something to eat instead. Jin passed glances between Namjoon and Noor, his playful grin fading a bit. Fine, but only if Jungkook promises to behave. Jungkook nodded, vigorously peeking out from behind Noor. I promise, no more teasing. With a reluctant chuckle, Jin tossed the slipper aside and motioned for Noor to follow him into the house. What do you have to eat? I could use a snack after all that. Just wait and see, it will be worth it. As they entered, the sound of laughter faded, replaced by the comforting aroma of something delicious cooking in the kitchen. It was a welcome change from the playful girls outside, and Noor felt a sense of warmth as she settled. As they all enjoyed their snacks sitting at the wooden bench table near the lake, the atmosphere was light and cheerful. Just then, a royal guard rode up on the horseback, stopping abruptly before dismounting and bowing deeply. Commander, Princess Noor, the king is calling for you all at the throne hall. It's urgent. What happened? Prince Taeyong from the Crystal Kingdom has arrived. A hush fell over the group as they exchanged glances, frowning at the news. Namjoon and Hobby turned to Noor, who felt her heart skip a beat at the mention of Taeyong. Memories of their last encounter flooded back, a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling within her. What could he want? Jungkook shrugged, trying to lighten the mood. Maybe he is come to steal your heart? Noor showed him a playful glare, but inside she couldn't shake the nervous anticipation. We should go. The king will be waiting. As they stood up, Noor took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever awaited them in the throne hall. She couldn't help but wonder how Taeyong's arrival would change things for her and the kingdom.